Welcome to our channel. Today, we honor American legends who passed away on May 18, 2025, leaving behind unforgettable legacies. From iconic actors to influential figures, their contributions shaped our culture. Join us as we reflect on their lives and impact. If you find this tribute meaningful, please like and subscribe for more stories about those who made history. Let's celebrate their enduring spirit together. Peter Lax. Could a single mathematician change the world from behind the scenes? One man's story involves escaping danger, building the atomic bomb, and unlocking secrets of the universe through numbers. This is Peter Lax, and his life was anything but ordinary. In 1926, Budapest welcomed a future genius. Born to Jewish doctors, Peter Lax faced a grim reality by 1941. Nazi persecution forced his family to flee Hungary, landing in New York with little but hope. That daring escape wasn't just a fresh start, it forged a relentless drive in young Peter. But what came next would shock everyone. At just 19, Lax joined a secret mission, the Manhattan Project. While most teens chased simpler dreams, he worked on nuclear weapons, rubbing shoulders with history's greatest minds. His knack for numbers was already turning heads. And that was only the beginning. By 1949, Lax earned a PhD from NYU and dove into Los Alamos and the Current Institute. These weren't just jobs, they were launch pads. He tackled shock waves, hydrodynamics, and soliton theory, crafting tools like the Lax-Wendroff scheme that engineers still use today. His math didn't just solve problems, it rewrote how we understand the world. But there was more to come. Awards piled up fast. The Norbert Wiener Prize in 1975, National Medal of Science in 1986, Wolf Prize in 1987, Abel Prize in 2005, the list goes on. Lax wasn't chasing fame, though. He led the American Mathematical Society and earned honorary degrees worldwide, all while staying grounded. Yet his story had another layer. Lax married Leonora Courant, a violinist and daughter of Richard Courant, founder of the Current Institute. This wasn't just love, it was a mathematical dynasty. Their bond tied two legacies, but Leonora's passing in 2015 left Lax carrying the torch alone. And then, something unexpected happened. On May 16, 2025, Peter Lax passed away, at 99. The math world mourned, but whispers emerged. Rumors on forums claim he was working on unpublished soliton theory papers, ideas that could still shake the field. While unverified, these reports sparked curiosity. What did Lax leave behind? Here's what's being said and what we know so far. Peter Lax wasn't just a mathematician, he was a survivor, a pioneer, and a mystery. From escaping danger to shaping science, his work touches our lives in ways we barely notice. As we reflect on his legacy, one question lingers: what secrets might his final notes reveal? Think about that, and let it inspire you to dig deeper. Brian Glanville. Did a handful of men rig European football's greatest moments? In the 1970s, British journalist Brian Glanville and his American colleague Keith Botsford dropped a bombshell that shook the sport. Their investigation, The Years of the Golden Fix, published in The Times, claimed match-fixing ran rampant through the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. What they uncovered would spark debates that still rage today. Glanville and Botsford pointed their lens at Italy first. At the heart of their accusations was Italo Elodi, a powerful sports manager. Reports claimed he orchestrated referee bribes during Inter's European Cup semi-finals in the mid-60s, helping secure their dominance. By the early 70s, Elodi had moved to Juventus, where he was linked to another suspicious semi-final in 1973. Fans whispered that even Italy's national team, under Elodi's influence from 1974 to 1982, played on a tilted field. But how did he pull it off? Enter Des Salty, a Hungarian fixer with a knack for bending games. Rumors swirled that Salty was the mastermind behind bribed referees, allegedly boasting of working with Real Madrid in their glory days. His network, tied to Elodie and even UEFA Ascendance's Artemio Franchi, a top Italian official, reportedly turned a blind eye. But that wasn't the whole story. The scandal didn't stop at Italy. Glanville and Botsford accused Spanish giants like Real Madrid of pioneering these dark arts. German clubs weren't spared either. Take the 1974-75 Champions Cup final, where Bayern Munich's win over Leeds United raised eyebrows. Leeds fans still cry foul, and they weren't alone. British clubs bore the brunt of this system. Liverpool, Derby County, and Leeds United were repeatedly outmaneuvered in Europe, often in matches tainted by suspect calls. Glanville's reports gave voice to their frustration, painting them as victims of a rigged game. And what happened next would shock everyone. Despite the uproar, justice was scarce. Juventus faced scrutiny over that 1973 semi-final, but walked away cleared. Milan, meanwhile, got a slap on the wrist, a fine for excessive gifts to a referee in a 1978 UEFA Cup match. Most of Glanville's claims crumbled in court, leaving fans wondering, was it all smoke and no fire? Even today, the buzz persists. On platforms like X, fans speculate that Glanville's work exposed only the tip of the iceberg. Some claim Elodie's network laid the groundwork for UEFA's modern controversies, with whispers of a cover-up still lingering. Here's what's being said: the truth may still be out there. Brian Glanville's investigation dared to challenge football's untouchables, but it left more questions than answers. His legacy endures as a reminder of the sport's murky past. So, what do you think? Has football cleaned up? Or are we just better at hiding the fix? Werenoi. What if the biggest star in French rap was hiding a story no one saw coming? Werenoi, the Montreal rapper who took France by storm, left the world in shock when he passed away at just 31. His life was a whirlwind of chart-topping hits, cryptic lyrics, and a mysterious aura that kept fans guessing. But rumors are swirling about what really happened in his final days. Let's dive into the rise, the secrets, and the stunning end of Werenoi's journey. Werenoi didn't just appear, he exploded onto the scene. Born on January 30, 1994, to Cameroonian parents in Melun, he grew up in Montreal, a gritty suburb of Paris. Music wasn't his first path, but in February 2021, he dropped Guadalara, a raw, cinematic track that racked up 800,000 YouTube views in weeks. Labels took notice, and by April, he signed with AWA, jumping into the soundtrack for En Passant Pecco. His early singles, like the gold-certified Scarface, showed a hunger that resonated with fans. By 2022, he was working with heavyweights like Lax-Friedrichs on Señor de los Gallos. Werenoi wasn't just another rapper, he was a force, climbing faster than anyone expected. But something about him felt different. That difference was his mystery. Werenoi once said, "I prefer to keep my private life to myself. Talking too much can reveal what you don't want." Unlike most artists, he didn't spill his life on social media. Fans got glimpses through his music, dark, introspective lyrics that hinted at struggles he never named. Was he battling personal demons? Some say his tracks, like Solitaire, spoke of loneliness despite his fame. Raised in Montreal's tough streets, he carried a guarded edge, even as he shared stages with stars. This secrecy wasn't just a gimmick, it made fans lean in closer, hungry for clues. And what came next only deepened the intrigue. His breakthrough was unstoppable. In June 2022, Werenoi dropped Telegram, an EP named after the platform where he teased tracks months early. It was a bold move that paid off. Telegram went gold by March 2023, with hits like 3 Singes featuring Ninho and Selfie with Mars earning gold and platinum status. Then came Car in February 2023, a game changer. With features from PLK, Tiercola, and Lacrim, it sold 19,000 copies in its first week and topped France's SNEP charts. Tracks like Ciao and Chemin d'Or went diamond, and the album itself hit gold in just a month. Werenoi wasn't just rising, he was dominating. But there was more to come, and it was bigger than anyone imagined. By 2024, Werenoi was untouchable. His album Pyramid, released in February, brought collabs with Damso, Aya Nakamura, and SCH, cementing his place at the top. Its follow-up, Pyramid 2, dropped in October with bangers like Petunias and features from Gazo and PLK. He was named France's biggest-selling artist 2 years running, snagging Male Revelation of the Year and Rap Album of the Year at the Flams. Shazam predicted his dominance early, and he delivered, filling arenas and dropping hints of a new project, Black Diamond, set for April 2025 with names like Gunna and Lil Tay. Everything seemed perfect. But whispers were starting to spread, and they weren't about music. Something wasn't right in Werenoi's final weeks. On May 13, 2025, he missed the Flams ceremony, where he was set to collect another award. His label cited a serious injury, and a video showed him with his arm in a sling. Fans were confused. How did a rapper get sidelined like that? A showcase planned for May 16 was cancelled, and rumors swirled. Some said he was battling health issues, others whispered about stress or personal struggles. His lyrics, always cryptic, now felt like warnings. Online, fans speculated about what was really going on, but no one had answers. And what happened next would leave everyone stunned. On May 17, 2025, Werenoi was gone. At 31, he passed away at Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital in Paris from heart failure, just days after his reported injury. The news hit like a tidal wave. Reports claim his health deteriorated suddenly, but questions linger. Was it really just heart failure? Some fans point to his intense schedule, back-to-back albums, tours, and pressure to stay on top. Others wonder if his guarded life hid deeper issues. These are just rumors, of course, nothing's confirmed. But the timing, so close to cancelled shows and that mysterious injury, has fans talking. His death wasn't just a loss, it was a mystery that's still unraveling. Werenoi's legacy is undeniable. Tributes poured in from Aya Nakamura, Jims, Karis, and even France's culture minister, Rashida Dati. His music, blending raw storytelling with polished production, reshaped French rap. Black Diamond, his unreleased album, was set to feature Damso, Ninho, and Gunna, promising another chapter we'll never hear. He was more than a star, he was a voice for Montreal, for dreamers, for anyone who felt like an outsider. His story, cut short, leaves us wondering what he didn't say. So, what's the real story behind Werenoi? A kid from the suburbs who conquered the charts, or a man carrying burdens he never shared? His music lives on, but the questions do too. What do you think? Did we lose Werenoi too soon? Or was his story always meant to end this way? Oleg Sõnajalg. What would drive a man at the peak of his career to board a helicopter that would never land? Oleg Sõnajalg, an Estonian entrepreneur whose name echoed through boardrooms and family gatherings alike, met a tragic end on May 17, 2025, in a fiery crash that left more questions than answers. His life was a whirlwind of innovation, controversy, and personal twists that kept Estonia buzzing. Let's dive into the story of a man whose legacy is as complex as it is captivating. Oleg wasn't just a businessman, he was part of a family that operated like a dynasty. The Sõnajalg Ensemble, as it was called, brought together Oleg, his brother Andres, and the husbands of his twin sisters, Siiri and Viivi. Together, they were a force in Estonia, blending business savvy with a flair for the spotlight. From cultural projects to high-stakes ventures, the Sõnajalg name carried weight. But it was Oleg's vision that often stole the show, setting the stage for what came next. In Estonia's wind power scene, Oleg was a trailblazer. He spearheaded projects that promised clean energy and economic growth, earning praise for his bold ideas. His turbines dotted the landscape, symbols of a greener future. Yet, not everyone was a fan. Whispers of cutthroat competition and regulatory pushback followed him. Some said he played hardball to stay ahead, but that's where the story gets murky. Speaking of murky, Oleg's business wasn't without its shadows. Rumors swirled about feuds with rival companies and tensions with government officials. Online chatter hinted at deals gone sour and enemies made along the way. While nothing was ever proven, these stories painted Oleg as a man who didn't shy away from a fight. And that reputation only grew as his personal life took a dramatic turn. Oleg's marriage to Viivi, who passed in 2021, was a cornerstone of his life. Together, they raised 5 children, building a family as strong as his business empire. But Viivi's death hit hard, and just months later, Oleg was spotted with Catherine Raudveer. By 2023, they were engaged on the sun-soaked island of Gomera, sparking gossip about how quickly he'd moved on. Fans and critics alike couldn't stop talking about it, but Oleg seemed unfazed, living life on his terms. Until fate had other plans. On May 17, 2025, Oleg boarded a helicopter in Tallinn, headed for a hobby pilots event in Finland. Alongside him was Priit Jagant, another Estonian businessman. Just 15 kilometers from Aura Airport, the helicopter collided mid-air with another, plummeting into a wooded area. All 5 people on board perished. Witnesses described one chopper dropping like a stone, the other spiraling slowly. The tragedy shocked Estonia, but it also raised eyebrows. Why did 2 helicopters from Tallinn crash so close to their destination? In the aftermath, speculation exploded. Some on X claimed it was no accident, pointing to Oleg's business rivalries as a motive. Others wondered if mechanical issues or pilot error were to blame, especially since one pilot had only recently earned his license. These theories remain unverified, but they've kept Oleg's name in the headlines. What we do know is that Estonia lost a visionary that day, a man whose drive and ambition left a mark that won't fade. Oleg Sõnajalg's story is one of triumphs, whispers, and tragedies. From wind turbines to family ties, he built a life that captivated a nation. Yet, his sudden death left us with questions that may never be answered. Was it just a tragic mishap? Or is there more to the story? His legacy lives on, but the truth? That's for you to decide. What do you think happened that day in Finland? Drop your thoughts below, and let's keep the conversation going. Jadwiga Rappé. Why isn't Jadwiga Rappé a name every music lover knows? This Polish contralto took the world by storm, yet her story hides twists and struggles that'll leave you stunned. Let's dive into the life of a voice that echoed through opera houses, but stayed too quiet for too long. Jadwiga didn't start as a singer. Born in Durcan in 1951, she was deep into Slavic philology at Warsaw University, decoding languages, not arias. But something sparked a drastic switch. She trained under top vocal coaches, and by her 20s, was mastering a contralto voice that could pierce your soul. That bold leap wasn't just risky, it was the start of something extraordinary. By 1980, she was unstoppable. At the International Bach competition in Leipzig, Jadwiga clinched first prize, her rich, haunting voice outshining everyone. A year later, she grabbed gold at Bordeaux's Young Soloists Festival. Her contralto wasn't just deep, it carried raw emotion, making every note feel like a story. But what made her stand out in a sea of sopranos? And that's just the beginning. Jadwiga graced stages from Salzburg to Warsaw Autumn, singing alongside giants like Krzysztof Penderecki and Riccardo Chailly. She could tackle Baroque cantatas or modern premieres with ease, but her heart stayed with Polish music. Festivals like Ratislavia Cantans weren't just gigs, they were her way of shouting Poland's legacy to the world. Yet, some say she never chased the spotlight like others. Why? Then there's her teaching. As a professor at Friedrich-Chopin University, Jadwiga molded young singers with fierce dedication. Students called her inspiring but tough. Rumors swirled she demanded perfection, pushing some to their limits. Her classes weren't just lessons, they were transformations. But that intensity had a cost, and it's got people talking. What's harder to pin down is her final chapter. Posts online say Jadwiga fought a long illness before passing in May 2025. Reports claim it slowed her down, but she kept teaching, kept singing. Was it the illness that kept her from global fame? Fans are speculating, and the silence around her struggle only fuels the mystery. When Jadwiga left us at 73, tributes poured in. Paul Durcan. Who was Paul Durcan, the poet who bared Ireland's soul with a wink and a sigh? His words cut deep, blending humor with heartache, and his life was as layered as his verses. Let's unravel the story of a man who turned the Irish male psyche into poetry. Born in Dublin in 1944, Durcan grew up with a sharp eye for life's absurdities. He studied archaeology and history at University College, Cork, but poetry became his true calling. His work, laced with self-deprecating wit, poked at the struggles of Irishmen navigating love, faith, and identity. It wasn't just poetry, it was a mirror to a nation's soul. But how did this quiet scholar become a literary star? In 1975, Durcan's first collection, O Westport in the Light of Asia Minor, hit shelves, earning raves and the Patrick Kavanagh Award. His voice, raw, funny, and fearless, struck a chord. By the 1980s, he was a rising name, but one work would redefine his career. What came next would shock the literary world. The Berlin Wall Café arrived in 1985, inspired by Durcan's crumbling marriage. Critics called it a masterpiece, its raw emotion earning a nod from the London Poetry Book Society. The collection peeled back the poet's heart, revealing pain beneath his humor. Fans still debate how much was truth versus art. But that wasn't the whole story. Durcan's talents stretched beyond poetry. In 1990, he co-wrote and voiced a track on Van Morrison's Enlightenment, weaving his words into music. That same year, his collection Daddy won the Whitbread Prize, cementing his status. By 2003, his voice echoed on RT Radio's Today with Pat Kenny, where his weekly diary captivated listeners. Yet, something else lingered behind the accolades. His later works, like A Snail in My Prime and Cries of an Irish Caveman, showed Durcan at his boldest, tackling aging and identity. As a member of Asdana, Ireland's elite artist circle, he stood among giants. But whispers followed him, rumors of personal struggles that fueled his art. Reports claim he kept his private life guarded, leaving fans to speculate. Here's what's been said: his poetry hinted at battles no one fully knew. Durcan's reach went global, with translations in Poland sparking new fans. When he passed in May 2025 at 80, tributes poured in, praising a voice that never shied from truth. His death closed a chapter, but his words live on. Paul Durcan didn't just write poetry, he revealed the messy, beautiful heart of Ireland. His legacy asks us, what truths do we hide behind our own humor? Think about that the next time you hear his verses. They are more than words, they're a challenge to see ourselves clearly. Osmany Cienfuegos. Ever wonder who stood in the shadows of Cuba's revolutionary giants? Osmany Cienfuegos wasn't just the brother of rebel legend Camilo Cienfuegos. He was a force in his own right, shaping Cuba's future through architecture, politics, and controversy. But why do so few know his story? Let's dive into the life of a man who helped build a nation, only to face whispers of betrayal at the end. Born in Havana in 1931 to parents from Asturias, Osmany grew up with revolution in his blood. He studied architecture at the University of Havana, graduating in 1954, but his heart wasn't just in blueprints, it was in rebellion. The brutal dictatorship of Fulgencio Batista pushed him to join the Popular Socialist Party, where he quietly plotted against the regime. By 1957, the heat was too much, and Osmany fled to Mexico. But that wasn't the end of his fight, it was just the beginning. In Mexico, Osmany didn't sit idle. He planned an armed expedition to join the rebel army's forces in Pinar del Rio, a daring move to strike at Batista's heart. The plan collapsed when the dictatorship fell in 1959, but Osmany's resolve didn't. He returned to a victorious Cuba, ready to carve his place in the new era. And what came next would tie his name to the revolution's core. After the tragic loss of his brother Camilo in 1959, Osmany stepped into the spotlight. By 1960, he was Minister of Construction, rebuilding a nation from the ground up. His work didn't stop there. He became Secretary General of OSPAAL in 1966, rallying solidarity across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Osmany wasn't just a bureaucrat, he was a global voice for Cuba's ideals. But his rise wasn't without questions. As a deputy in the National Assembly and a Communist Party insider, from 1975 to 1997, Osmany held serious sway. He climbed to Vice President of the Council of Ministers, a role he held until 2009. That's when things got murky. Reports swirled that Raúl Castro had forced him out, hinting at a power struggle in Havana's elite. The rumors painted Osmany as a casualty of shifting loyalties, a man whose influence had become a threat. But was there more to the story? Fidel Castro himself stepped in, blasting the rumors as lies. He insisted Osmany's exit was no purge, but the whispers didn't stop. Fans and critics alike speculated about what really went down. Had Osmany clashed with Raúl? Or was it just politics as usual? The truth remains elusive, but the buzz kept Osmany's name alive, even as he faded from public view. And that mystery only grew with time. Osmany Cienfuegos passed away in 2025 at 94, closing a chapter on a life that shaped Cuba's revolution. His legacy, though, is complicated. Overshadowed by Camilo's heroic myth, Osmany's work in construction, diplomacy, and governance laid foundations that endure today. Yet, the questions linger: did he wield power quietly, or was he sidelined by those he served? His death reminds us of the untold stories behind Cuba's revolution, stories that don't always make the headlines. So, what do you think? Did Osmany Cienfuegos shape Cuba more than we know, or was he just a man caught in his brother's shadow? His life leaves us wondering about the secrets of those who built a nation.